So my last story for the day is about a young 19-year-old individual that I met when she came into one of the homeless shelters to get some food. She was not from the area because, again, the area that she came from did not have any sort of a shelter system. They didn't have a food bank, they didn't have a soup kitchen, and they did not have a warming station for the winter. I could tell from the first moment that I met her that she was new to being homeless. She had her nails done, she had her makeup on, her clothes were really clean, which were sometimes not the things that I saw from my folks that were living out in a tent. She had earrings in, jewelry, everything was very well kept. And she was, quite frankly, stunning. Which is why everything kind of struck me a little odd. So it caused me to ask her while I was checking her in. And I said, "What are you doing here? You do not look like the others." You know, was the little thing in your brain that one of these things is not like the other. It was definitely her. She took a deep breath and tears began to roll down her cheeks. She said that she had found herself in a Romeo and Juliet situation where she had met this young man that her family did not approve of and therefore gave her the ultimatum. It's either going to be you stay here and live with us or you go with him. Her home life was not the best of home lives to be living in. There were multiple generations of family members living within the same household. She was one of the only breadwinners bringing any sort of funding into the household, and she felt like she was just missing something in her life. So when she met this man, it was him. It was clearly him, and that is what she did. She left with him, and as they ventured around, going to different counties, trying to find services that they needed, they found themselves in front of me. My friend's story goes on. She had a lot of medical illnesses that she needed some heavy-duty medications to help manage pain. And she was constantly in chronic pain that was worsened with the weather, and especially from finding herself sleeping on the ground in a tent during the change in seasons. She's not what people would typically think of when they thought of individuals experiencing homelessness. She was motivated, she was well educated, she spoke well, and she kept herself as clean as possible. I'll never forget the day that she showed up in my office, again in tears, as she said to me, she recently got a job working for one of our local politicians, and she was part of the people that went around and knocked on the doors and was working on gaining constituents. She would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, make her way down to Dunkin' Donuts, and she would get herself bathed from head to toe in the Dunkin' Donuts bathroom. Eventually, Dunkin' Donuts caught on to this and said, "You now have to purchase something to be able to have access to our bathroom, and we're going to hang on to the key." So every morning, she would have to buy herself a coffee and ask for the bathroom key, and she would get herself washed up in the sink the best that she could. She was working really hard to save up money so her and her boyfriend could get themselves an apartment that they had found that was decently priced, which is not an easy feat to do. What happened next, though, is really what broke my heart and caused her to be in my office crying. You see, at that point in time, she was working her way up. She literally was one paycheck left away from being able to actually put a down payment on this apartment so that way they could move into it. Her boss singled her out one day as everybody in the group was sitting down and having lunch. They ate out at restaurants every single day. And they said to her that they were really upset because they felt like she singled herself out because she was not part of the team, because she wouldn't sit in there and eat lunch with those individuals every day. They went out to a restaurant every day and purchased food to eat. Her boss knew that she was experiencing homelessness and still cornered her like this, and then went back in and told the team that she was embarrassed for my friend because she wouldn't eat lunch with them, and that every once in a while she would ask for $1 so she could be able to get herself a water or a coffee. My friend was just completely shattered, and any motivation that she had left just completely dissipated as she sat in my office and said, "I can't take this anymore. I'm too embarrassed." And she quit her job. So this is a vicious cycle that our homeless folks often find themselves in, because no matter how motivated you are, there's always something that's going to be singling you out from the others, regardless of how much you try to fit in. And until we find ourselves in a position where we can start to understand and embrace and welcome the differences that are coming to us as employers and as coworkers, we're going to continue to drive a wedge between them and us. And that is why my friend is where she is today.